Reminder that the actions taken this evening will focus on our students and their achievement. With that, if we can focus on the consent agenda, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Are there any questions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you. Moving on to the annual meeting. Doug? We need to approve the depository?
Correct.
Okay.
As you can see in the board information, we're requesting no changes in the maximum deposit resolution for the upcoming 2015-16 school year.
Do we need to approve that
Yes,
then?
please.
We have to action on that. All right. Do we have a motion to approve the maximum deposit resolutions and bank depository?
So moved.
Second.
Do we have any questions for Doug? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you. Moving on to the appointment of the board secretary. You want-
Oh, no, well, just during the annual meeting, and again, this is the first meeting in July, we by Iowa code have to appoint our board secretary, and second, then we have to appoint our authorized school business official. Obviously, this has been Mr. Doug Metzger now for many years. He might lobby for a different recommendation, but certainly that would be our recommendation.
Do I have a motion to approve
So
Doug
moved.
as our,
Are we doing this for both?
Just the first.
just the first one?
Okay.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
thank you. Any questions, comments, concerns? Anyone want to volunteer? All right, hearing none. We have to have a roll call vote, is that right, Doug?
Yeah, matter of fact, we do.
Okay.
Let's
You
We
want
forgot
that?
about that. Oh, wait a sec.
Dr. Shaw,
Aye.
Mrs. Leeper,
Aye.
Mrs. Lance.
Aye.
Dr. Kenyon. Aye. Mrs. Brown. And Mrs. Coyle.
Aye.
That's Randy Cohen. That's correct.
Doug, I'm going to swear you in. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa, and that you will faithfully and impartially, to the best of your ability, discharge the duties of the office of School Board Secretary in the Cedar Falls Community School District, Cedar Falls, Iowa, and now and hereafter required by law? Thank you, sir. Now we need to, for the item C on the agenda, the appointment of the authorized school board business official. So that would be Doug. That could be Doug.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Hearing none, this can be a regular vote, I think. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Doug, we are very honored to have you in this district. You represent us well, our students well, and we can't appreciate, we appreciate you and want you to know, you're welcome. All right, moving on to the regular business meeting. We have not been contacted about any public comment this evening.
Nope.
So moving on to the Secretary's financial report.
Okay, this is the financial report for the end of June 2015. Before we go through this, I'll remind the board that this is a cash report. All our monthly reports are cash reports. And we will go over the final accruals probably in October after we get the year closed out and get the certified annual report filed. And the audit report, which verifies all that information, is usually in January, February. So if you can see in the general fund for the month of June, we had revenue of $3,384,063, expenses of $4,676,541 for an ending fund balance of $14,615,427. Just a reminder, then you can see there where the dollars are, whether they're in cash, in the checking account or in different savings accounts. A couple of points to note. Number one, the last item in the savings account, that is the Christensen grant that we invest, and we're able to renew that in a money market at, you can see, 60 basis points. And as far as the other items, remember now that basically we will have no revenue for the months of July and August other than registration receipts in August. So this balance of roughly $13 million that carries through into September when state aid starts flowing in.
Thank you, Doug. Does the board have any questions regarding the financial report?
And then you can see here, here's the cash flow projections for the last 4 years, how we've been running in the general fund, and you can see we're pretty much tied right out where we were a year ago. And in the management fund, there is you can see that that's been a reduction in the cash balance, and like I said over and over again, this is a planned have that fund that be more in line with where we would like it to be. In the schoolhouse fund or the sales tax, you can see we had revenue of $366,776 for the month with expenditures of $14,741, giving us a fund balance of $7,748,000. And I would remind the board that out of that amount of money, the last two items in the investment portion, the $1.834 million and the $999,000 amount, those are reserve amounts that when we sold our revenue bonds, and we are required to hold them in reserve and cannot use the principal amounts for anything until such time as the bonds are paid off. The physical plant equipment levy and the debt service, you can see that physical plant equipment levy had revenue of $72.68 for the month, and expenditures of $308,607, and there you see the transfer payment of the debt service amount that we had due to the revenue bonds, the $2,749,420, and that came monthly transfers from the statewide Wilson sales tax to the debt service fund, and the debt service fund makes the payment. So you can see the fund balance and capital fund that we had. Student activity, 107,765 in, 134,703 out, for a fund balance of 5,79812. Food service revenue of 119,755 and expenditures of 135,815. So a ending fund balance of 492. And again, I remind the board, these are cash balances, not accruals, and you'll see the accrual numbers after we do the certified annual reporting. Kind of entertain any questions.
Thank you, Deb. Just a question. Will the Christensen Fund, will John be coming back to us?
At the next meeting.
Okay, at the next meeting. Okay. Thank you. Any other? If not, we'll place the financial report on file for audit.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Moving on to communications. Anyone have any communications?
We will plan on having our student board member probably start at September meeting, so we'll have that lined up and ready to go. But throughout the summer months, we certainly do not have a student board member because we're on summer break. So, and we do have a new one, as Drew did graduate. So,
Can you remind me how that board member is chosen?
that goes to the president of the student body. And offhand, I can't recall who that is, but she is honored to be here and come to the board.
Oh, so so the default is the president of the student body, part of their responsibilities is.
Right.
Gotcha.
Yep.
She would be a senior then? Is that the?
She is, I believe, a senior, yes.
Okay.
And she is
That's okay.
excited about being here. I
Okay,
know that,
good.
so.
All right.
yeah.
Okay, thank you. Moving on, item D on the agenda, approval of the print service contract.
Okay, that one is myself, and if you go to your board packet, you will see a summary of information. And actually, in my packet, it's the last. We've been looking for a good year or so now at the potential of contracting out our repair and service of our printer, of all the laser printers that are throughout the district. We asked 5 different firms who have expertise in that sort of venture to submit bids to us for that work. You can see on the summary sheet that of the 5 bids, there are various different services that those individual vendors would provide to us for the monthly fee. Our recommendation to the board is to enter into a contract with Marco Incorporated out of Mason City. They do have a branch office here in Waterloo. For this contract at an estimated cost of $21,843.84. Now, what the district would receive for that is, if you move on to the next sheet, is you can determine the breakdown of what we will no longer have to purchase will be toner for our printers throughout the district. And you can see that cost has averaged the last couple of years about $17,578. We run $1,600 a year for parts, and we typically have to replace a few printers every year, and that's another $5,400. So we're anticipating a projected savings of just under $1,800 per year should we enter into this agreement. Marco is asking for a 3-year agreement, but we have basically a trapdoor clause in the agreement, in that if we're not satisfied for any reason during the first 12 months of this upcoming agreement, we would be able to back out of the agreement at no additional expense.
So I'm not sure I understand how we save replacement costs.
Because the part of the contract with Marco is, if a printer were to completely fail and not be repairable, they provide a replacement unit at no cost. It's included in the contract. And there's no limit to that either. You'll notice that one of the vendors had stated they would do that, but there was a limit as to
Right.
contract.
And we own all our printers, we don't lease
We
them?
own everything.
Okay.
We typically, this district, the other intangible in this whole thing is we estimate that approximately 4% of our IT staff's time over the course of the year is directly involved with printer issues, or having to repair printers, or having to order replacement printers. And that then would go away in this contract as well. And what that would do would be free up that amount of time to dedicate to freeing up more time for our tech students and our kids instead.
They're covering all the toner too? Okay, that's amazing.
Said they've got a local service.
Yeah, they're out of Waterloo, and they guarantee 4-hour response during a normal business day. So for us, it's for us to enter into a contract that allows us to try this for a year. We believe that it's going to save us dollars, as you can see on the calculation. It's going to save our IT staff time, and they can devote that time to the kids and for staff for support of the devices. If it doesn't work questions asked?
On that summary sheet, again, 4% doesn't sound like a lot of time, but you're talking 333 hours time, and that yes, it does.
I move we accept the.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to item E on the agenda, the technology equipment purchase.
And that would be me again, and, well, we're working with our internet filtering software for the last couple of years. As we have the explosion of devices throughout the district, with going to the one-on-one at the secondary level and the iPads at the lower elementary level, has caused a situation where our internet software filtering system has had some struggles trying to keep up. And if the board will recall, last year we had entered into, help me, Dave, question, it's not Schoology, it was,
Smooth wall.
yeah, that's it, Smooth Wall. And to provide the internet capacity that they need to meet our federal requirements for filtering. Contract did not work out at all, and they were not able to meet the requirements that we have for pushing through the system at the speed that we require to have kids be able to have that access they need. We were able to work out an arrangement with the Smooth Wall where we got full reimbursement for the amount of the down payment that we paid for that device. We're able to no longer work the contract out, so we're able to work all that. Well, we talked, we really believe we want to stay with Sonic Wall. That's sort of always been our default. We've always been a Sonic Wall district. We just have been outstripping the capacity of that. We went with Smooth Wall last year because it was less expensive. And it did not work for us. They did not perform. And so our recommendation would be to enter into an agreement with Dell, which now owns Smooth Wall, or excuse me, Sonic Wall, and into the. We originally looked at the idea of purchasing this with over 3 installment payments, but we ran into a little bit of a snag with the Code of Iowa, and the Code of Iowa says if we're going to do it that way, it has to be a lease purchase agreement, and Dell's language for lease purchase agreement doesn't mesh with what the Code of Iowa's requirement for a lease purchase agreement is. So basically, I had a situation of the irresistible force meeting the immovable wall. We do have funds within a couple fund budget within that to handle this. So that would be our recommendation to expend $73,904.54 to Dell for the Sonic Wall, plus another $6,200 and $9 for training of our IT staff on the operation.
Was Sonic Wall originally a part of last year's bid that
That completely we were going to go a completely different direction, and they just did not perform. The entire district was shut down, and we ended up going back to Sonic Wall. Sort of we limped through the second half of the year with that last year, and we were able to make it work, but this will be much more robust, and we'll be able to handle it.
Sonic Wall went through a pretty significant upgrade this past year, which was something that is positive. It gives us thresholds that we can stay within and allows us a lot of flexibility to make sure that we're doing what we need.
And the device size that will handle over 5,000 users. So it'll take care of what we need to do. Shane's been researching this for about 2 or 3 months now. And I've been spending the last month trying to work out the financing.
When you say the word device, are you talking about a hardware device?
It's an actual piece of hardware that sit in our district. flow through that sort of, I don't want to call it a server, but it is a physical device.
But I request a web page. The request goes through this piece of hardware, checks it on a list.
Right. And no matter where you are at in the world,
Yep.
if you're on a Chromebook or a district device, it comes all the way back here, goes through that,
Oh.
and it kicks out.
Okay.
What do other districts use, you know?
Pardon?
What do other districts?
Sonic will sort of,
That's what I
sort of
wondered.
sort of the standard.
Okay, that's what I
Yeah.
wondered.
We tried something with Smoothwall last year that was really more of a cutting-edge, newer company that they thought that they could handle the load that we had as a district, but it just didn't come to fruition. So it was a valid attempt, but just didn't come to the pathway that we thought it would. Sonic Wall is the universal phone that a lot of districts use across the state.
It's not, but it's not, at least, have to work with to resolve
Yep.
the laws.
They helped us resolve it,
Yeah.
which is positive.
And they were a major player when we had to abandon Smoothwall. They worked with our IT staff quite
Oh,
closely
they
to
did.
make sure that we could get through the rest of second semester last year.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the technology equipment?
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion or questions for Doug? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doug. Moving on to item F on the agenda, the legislative priorities.
Yep, and this one is something that we always do in July. As you can see, we have kind of and July is always a lighter board meeting, so we kind of apologize for that. But the legislative priorities is always something in July that we look at. This comes from the Iowa Association of School Boards. Within the packet on page number 6, the last page, you'll see last year's legislative priorities that we decided upon, and there were a total of 5 of them. This is really just now information, so we can come back hopefully in August, the first meeting, to get these approved so the board can decide. Really an opportunity to look through them, help answer any questions, talk about if you have any questions, so we can come back in August to select the 5 that we want to have roughly be.
Is this available electronically
It is. It was part of the packet that we sent out to board members.
for this meeting?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
I have it.
sorry. Under what?
Under
It's
legislative.
2015-16 legislative priorities.
I beg your pardon, unless I grab it.
So but we have 2 representatives, right, who vote? Am I remembering this correctly?
We all can go as a representative. One person votes, but we would, yeah.
Okay.
Just,
We
that's
pick
just a
one
formality.
delegate is
Yeah,
what
one
you do.
delegate.
Right.
And I'll-
So who's our delegate?
That hasn't been decided yet.
No, we'll select that next meeting too.
Gotcha,
Yeah.
okay.
And in the past, again, we've always had multiple board members go.
Right.
So it really doesn't make a difference who the delegate is, but we have to put somebody down by name for ISAB. You'll see in the past, they've always asked for 5. This year, they asked for 4 priorities, so we might have to pare some down.
We have a hard time paring it down.
I know we have, so,
We said in what, 7 last year?
we did 5, but I think
We had to come back.
and I think we maybe combined a few, so. They asked that these be due on the 14th of August, so that would be in time for our next board meeting, but, so, there's a lot to digest here. We tried to give you everything, plus the 5 that we picked last year, and really it's an opportunity to just look through those to see if they still resonate with us. The 5 we picked last year, I know was through a lot of discussion, a lot of passion around some of those topics. Certainly an opportunity to either support those once again, or look at some of the other that they've listed that might be important for us as a district, or important for us as a region.
So as you looked at your board packet and you looked through these, would it be okay then we come back next time then and have a discussion? Or do you have any questions about any of the priorities before we move on?
You can see they've listed them now underneath categories.
I
last
like
year.
that actually.
I do too.
I do.
Yeah.
I think it's nice.
Helps that clarity and clarification, I think, for where they're at. And you'll see actually A, underneath student achievement and student equity, is the extension of the 1 cent sales tax, which is something that we advocated for last year. Didn't make it out of committee, but certainly something that we know is important for us as a district, and I think for districts across the state. But again, so the numbers don't match the letters this year from last year's numbers to this year's letters, organized differently.
Any questions? Okay, so next month in August, when we come back, we'll be ready to set those so that we can send those. Is that, I see everybody shaking their head? Okay, moving on then to the superintendent's report.
Yeah, and really, this was just a report. It wasn't certainly a presentation or really a lot of information, but we know that we held a bond issue on June 30th. We're pleased that the bond went from, previously 42% to roughly about 58%. However, we needed 60% plus one for it to be successful. So we're in a position where we need to continue to focus on facilities, where we're going to go, what we're going to do, and how we're going to move forward, because we know we still have some challenges when we look at enrollment, when we look at equity across our district. The earliest we can bring back a bond by Iowa code is February 2nd, so that would be the earliest we can come back and look at something. The next date would be April 5th. It's been 2.5 weeks to reflect, to discuss, to try to get feedback, and really tonight I don't have a lot of points, but people have asked, what are we going to do? What's the next steps? And I really don't have next steps to talk with the board. I think we need to bring back a discussion item to the board to start talking about those components. Tonight was just a superintendent's report, just to say we're working, we're dialoguing, we're trying to reflect, and again, get that piece of information. What I would say is our most important piece right now as a district is to start school. We're trying to focus on that with kids coming in about a month. However, we know the facility work is going to be ongoing. We have to be able to look at how we're going to accommodate the number of students we have coming into our district. We are excited. We have enrollment growth throughout the summer, continuous enrollment growth, but that continues to create a bottleneck and capacity challenges for us. So, questions that I can help answer. We don't know what the next steps will be. We have a little bit of time to try to digest that. We're trying to keep this right now as we look to the future, but we know we'll continue to move forward.
Would it be possible, I know we said before that we would come back and take it to the facility committee. Before we would do any next step of anything, would it be possible for the board itself to come back for a work session, maybe about an hour or so, just to talk about what we're hearing, some of those things?
We could do that at a work session or the August 10th meeting as well. Either one would be fine. That's really
I'd be open to either one. What's the pleasure of the board?
The August
or your
10th
thoughts?
meeting, it's the August 10th meeting where we're discussing the legislative priorities too.
It would be.
That's seeming like a long meeting.
Usually that goes pretty quick. Usually we can pare those down.
Okay.
Typically we reflect off of last year's priorities that resonate with people. Yeah, rank them. Usually July and August, first month in August, or the first meeting in August are fairly light agendas, just due to the fact that it's summer and it's mostly state reporting that we're doing right now. So there's not going to be probably a lengthy agenda, but it's certainly something that we can look at either. It's really the board's discretion.
I have that next meeting is August 10th, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Thoughts?
I'm okay
Feelings?
with the 10th, I think. I mean, I'm okay mentally. I'm not sure if I'm okay in my calendar.
With the school board, for our school board meeting, you
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
And would it be better to have a work session before the meeting, or would it be better to discuss it during the meeting?
Oh, no, that's a possibility, I guess, to meet before the meeting.
I mean, the structure would be a little different.
I want to do it whatever you feel comfortable doing.
It might be good to go before, so we
So I
have
was
a
wondering, too.
deadline. We have to be done by 7 o'clock.
Having a great discussion. I don't want to have to stop because it's 7 o'clock either.
So would you rather have, I'm seeing kind of shaking heads in all different directions. Would you rather have a separate work session not tied to a board meeting?
Can we have the board meeting earlier? Can we do that?
That's what I was about to suggest.
Oh.
Can we start that at 6?
Good. We could start the regular meeting at 6 o'clock and just move that direction.
That's
You know,
fine with me.
I am not, and here's my recommendation, I guess. I'm not certain that as we talk facilities, I'm sure there'll be some pieces that the board might ask for or to have more information on. I'm not sure if it'll take long, an hour and a half, and then by the time you look at the rest of the agenda, and again, it's 2 to 3 weeks away, but I'm not certain it's going to be much longer than an hour. So you're talking maybe, you know, a 2.5 hour meeting at tops if you start at 7. So, you know, we can always start earlier, but sometimes that throws people in the community off a little bit, and we want to make sure that we have a little bit of that normal process that we can just continue. Can't come when they want to come, or misses it due to.
Could we go 6:30?
I would almost, you know, if we're just going to have it as part of a regular meeting, we just do it at normal time and move through the meeting and go through that process with knowing that the agenda is probably not going to be that lengthy, and a great majority of the time for the meeting to go into some facility discussion.
Sounds
Yeah, I like that.
That's fine. That sounds fine.
And how about if we get to the agenda and we look the week before and there's something that pops up, we can send something out to you guys and just say, you know, this is what's on the agenda. It may take longer than we had expected. Be fair, reasonable.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
So again, not a huge update or superintendent's report on the facility discussion, but certainly something that right now, as I think everybody probably has received, just a lot of input, a lot of conversations with a lot of different groups, and it's been very reflective in a lot of different ways, but certainly just to try to hear what conversations have been across the community with a lot of different groups. So, and I know all of us have received those, which is good.
Just a calendar question. When is back to school kickoff where we convene at the high school? What do we know what date that
I
is?
wondered when that was.
Friday,
20.
21st.
Okay. Friday.
Okay.
7:30?
7:30 is the
Oh.
breakfast social, and I think at 8:15 to 9
Okay.
with the person up on the stage. So, I'm a person of few words.
Okay, so 7:30 is breakfast or continental, whatever's. Okay.
And the reason that was switched is we are having a Cedar Valley Chamber Alliance new teacher breakfast on that Thursday, and that is Cedar Falls, Waterloo, and the Catholic schools that are all together for that day, or that morning. So we had to maneuver a few things around because that was a date that was selected.
It'll be the same.
So 7:30 to 9
Different.
a.m.
Okay.
This is going to be with all, before it was just teachers
Cedar
for
Falls,
Cedar Falls and
right.
teachers just for Waterloo. This
Right.
time we're doing teachers together from all three districts. So it's going to be probably, my guess would be 150 or 60 new teachers.
Good idea.
Yep. So that was kind of something that was dictated and changed our schedule. It'll be a Friday instead of a Thursday.
Okay, go ahead,
It
Jen.
was just, will we have done elementary registration already?
July 30th is going to be the registration for elementary.
And I think that the high school, one is, I actually have high school's the 10th and then Holmes is the 11th. I mean, I know they're preliminary numbers, but it might be interesting to just have those numbers, if we can for that meeting, to see if we're coming in what we thought, if we're coming in higher, just to.
Good question. I guess if the board has questions or would like to see something maybe communicate to Dr. Patty, so maybe he can have those items that might ready so that you can see them ahead of time and we're not kind of scrambling. So I think that would be a good idea too.
High numbers, obviously,
Right.
but we can have kind of the tentative numbers, at least the number of students in Infinite Campus and who has registered or at least shown that they are going to be independent.
The back to school will come on the 28th,
21st.
21st. Okay.
Start school 24.
24th.
On to item H on the agenda, discussion, comments, questions from the board. Anything else you'd like to bring before the whole? All right, hearing none, we are going to be moving into a closed session, and we have a motion.
I move that the Cedar Falls Board of Education enter into closed session to evaluate the professional competency of individual who appointment, hiring, performance, and discharge is being considered necessary to prevent needless and irreparable that individual reputation, and that individual requests a closed session under 2011 Code of Iowa 21.51I.
Do I have a second?
Second.
And we'll need a roll call vote.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mrs. Foil?
Yes.
Mrs. Reaper?
Yes.
Dr. Kling?
Yes.
Mrs. Lance?
Yes.
And Dr. Shaw?
Yes.
Closed session.
Thank you.
Sorry.
If I could just say one thing, I don't want to